Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of my quest to complete the Pokémon Living Dex before Pokémon Bank closes down completely, and some Pokémon are lost to time forever. I mean, probably not, but let me be dramatic. In this episode, I'm starting a new game on Pokémon Shining Pearl, but I'll keep the reason to myself for now. It should become clear over the next few episodes, so stay tuned. I started this game as I mean to go on, committing crime! I stole some stranger's fire monkey, used it to murder a bird, and got the stranger's blessing to keep Chimchar, and the girl lied to me. How do I know she lied? Patience, dear viewer. Anyway, Dawn taught me how to catch Pokemon and gave me some Pokeballs of my own, but I decided her generous gift of 20 Pokeballs wasn't enough, and bought 40 more, plus 4 free Premier Balls. I beat 3 trainers on Route 202, caught a Starly, beat 2 trainers in the trainer school, and had a battle with my rival, who is named Time, just like my rival in Crystal, as my main enemy in this challenge is Time itself. I beat Time's Piplup, and then I realised I hadn't actually made a solid plan for what to use as my main team in this game. Some Soul and Bulbapedia searching later, I decided I'd picked the wrong starter, and promptly reset my game. You remember how Dawn told me that if I'd chosen Turtwig, she and I would have had the same starter Pokemon? Well, she's a filthy stinking liar, because I chose Turtwig this time, and she had a Piplup. Chimchar and Starly from the first attempt are long gone, so don't count towards my Living Dex completion, but Turtwig does, opening my account on Shining Pearl, and bringing my progress so far to 25. This time, I didn't wait until after I'd gone back home to tell my mum I was off travelling the world at some old moustache man's request to buy Pokeballs, which meant that by the time Dawn showed me how to catch Pokemon again, I'd already caught a Starly and boxed it. After getting major deja vu watching Dawn catch a Bidoof, I caught my own Bidoof and 2 Shinx, bringing my total in Shining Pearl to 4 and my overall Living Dex to 28. All but Turtwig were boxed, and that would be the case for a good while, so to save me saying and showing this over and over again, just assume all caught Pokemon are boxed unless I specifically say otherwise. I took out the 3 trainers on Route 202 and the 2 trainer school trainers again, defeated Time, who was using an old friend this time, and proceeded along Route 203. There, I defeated 3 trainers and caught a Zubat before realising I'd already caught my quota of them in Crystal, so that didn't add anything to my total. I then caught a 3rd Shinx and defeated 4 more trainers. Once in Urberg City, I went to Urberg Mine to find Rourke. On my travels, I beat 2 trainers, leveling Turtwig up to level 13 and learning Razor Leaf, which I used to obliterate Rourke and his 2 gym trainers to earn the Coal Badge. I then returned to Jubilife City, this time leaving to the north, bumping into Rowan, Dawn, and a couple of Team Galactic grunts, whom Dawn and I disposed of easily in a double battle. Once that situation was dealt with, Bebe allowed me to access her box anytime, anywhere, and let me put stickers on my balls.
Pause. Pause indeed.
Then I ventured into Route 204, where I caught a Bidoo and a Kricketot, bringing my total for this game to 6, and overall total to 30, and took out 5 trainers, briefly passing through Ravaged Path on my way. In Floroma Town, these lovely people gave me a Mew and a Jirachi simply for having save files on Pokemon Let's Go Eevee or Pikachu and Pokemon Sword or Shield respectively. I headed east out of Floroma Town through Route 205 and into the Valley Windworks. The Galactic Grunt guarding the front door was a Breeze, get it, a Breeze at the Windworks, but when he lost he ran inside and locked me out, so I had to go back to Floroma Meadow where I took out 2 of his colleagues back to back and was given the key by this man. I used the key to enter the Valley Windworks, took out 2 more grunts before a much tougher battle against Commander Mars, after which Turtwig evolved into Grottle. With the Valley Windworks saved from whatever Team Galactic were doing there, I headed north on Route 205, defeating 8 trainers and catching a Buizel and 2 Shellos to take my totals to 10 in-game and 34 overall. In the middle of Route 205 was Eterna Forest, where I met Cheryl, who insisted on accompanying me through the whole forest, helping me defeat 6 trainers in double battles and costing me catches on Baneri and Cascoon, but also bearing witness to me managing to catch a Baneri, a 2nd Bidoo and a Dustox, taking my totals to 12 in-game and 36 in total. On the other side of Eterna Forest, I beat 3 more trainers and caught a 2nd Bidoof before reaching Eterna City. In Eterna, I met Cynthia, learned how to access the Grand Underground, which will become important later in the series, then beat Gardenia, I don't know, for the Forest Badge after dispatching her 4 gym trainers. and losing my first attempt at Challenger, marking my first ever defeat in Pokémon Shining Pearl. With guard whatever finally behind me, I entered the Team Galactic building, battling my way through 5 galactic grunts and a scientist to reach Commander Jupiter. Unlike Gardenia, or Gardenia, whatever, let me know in the comments, Jupiter didn't manage to beat me once before I could overcome her in battle. She wiped the floor with me 3 times before I managed to grind out a victory that took over 4 minutes, 6 workups, 2 antidotes and Petra berries, a super potion, and a lot of luck with supersonic misses, confusion breakthroughs, and poison fang poisons not going off. And even then, Grottle only survived Skuntank's aftermath with 3 HP. Unfortunately, the battle ended immediately, as she would have fainted to poison that very turn otherwise, and that would have still counted as a loss. My reward for scraping a win against Jupiter was a bicycle, which allowed me to enter Route 206 and finally catch my second team member for this game, Ponyta. First I had to defeat 4 trainers, but they were a walk in the park, or should I say a bicycle ride across a bridge? No, probably not. Compared to Jupiter, I used the 4 remaining trainers on Route 206 to train up Ponyta, then bumped into Dawn, who gave me the Versaseeker and Dowsing Machine Pokéchap. I then travelled east along Route 207, defeating 3 trainers along the way, and entered Mount Coronet, where I met Cyrus for the first time, although he never actually introduced himself, and caught a Meditite, taking my totals to 14 in the game and 38 in my overall Living Dex. On the other side of Mount Coronet was Route 208, on which I defeated 5 more trainers before arriving in Hearthome City. After meeting Fantina and running into my mum in the contest hall, I explored the rest of Hearthome, but soon learned I couldn't challenge the gym there as the leader was missing. As I went to leave Hearthome to the south, Time challenged me to a battle, which I won fairly easily before receiving a random egg from this random man at the gates of Route 209. Of course, I kept the egg in my party, as I wanted to see what was inside, and hopefully add it to my Living Dex. On Route 209, I beat 8 more trainers, and this man gave me his rod, which he assured me was good. At the other end of Route 209 stands the Lost Tower, in which I defeated 8 trainers and a particularly tough wild Golbat, and caught a Ghastly, and just beyond that is Salacian Town. There was nothing for me to do in Salacian Town at this point, so I passed straight through and onto Route 210, where a further 10 trainers felt my wrath, including 3 inside the Moo Moo Milk Cafe. I also caught a Cricketoon, taking my Living Dex total to 40 Pokemon, with 16 in Shining Pearl thus far. The path north was blocked by a plump of Psyduck. Yes, that's one of many collective nouns for a group of ducks. Now, if only someone had a strong grass type to clear them out the way. So I headed east onto Route 215. Ponyta struggled on Route 215 as it was raining the entire time, which weakened his fire-type moves. Despite this, he more than pulled his weight, helping me defeat 6 trainers, during which battles Grottle evolved into Torterra and learned Earthquake. Upon arriving in Veilstone City, I headed straight for the gym, bumping into Dawn for seemingly no reason on the way in, then taking out all 4 gym trainers, solving the really fun and unique gym puzzle, and mollywhopping Maylene for the Cobble badge, which I have no idea why it's called that, considering it comes from a fighting type gym, and Cobble's surely more rock or ground. Upon leaving the gym, we encountered Dawn again, who had had her Pokédex stolen by Team Galactic, so we whooped them in another double battle and chased them off. But there was nothing to do inside their base at this stage in the game, so I left Veilstone to the south, entering Route 214. There, I defeated 6 trainers and caught a second Ponyta, briefly considering switching this one to be my permanent team member, as it had the Flash Fire ability. But I decided to stick with my original Ponyta that had served me well so far, despite only having run away. This guy wouldn't let me through to Sunnyshow City due to a blackout, so I continued south on Route 213, knocking out a couple of small children's Pokemon, before realising I can't surf yet, and so that was a dead end. Because I didn't notice the thin path west from the beach. After longer than I care to admit, I found the path and continued towards Pastoria City, beating another trainer on my way. Upon arriving in Pastoria, I made a beeline for the gym, solving another fun puzzle and taking out 6 gym trainers before coming face to face with some mask-wearing weirdo. What? Crash Awake led with Gyarados, which intimidated Torterra and opened with a scary Ice Fang, but fortunately I chose to set up Leech Seed with my first turn. Second turn I did something I actually never do and used an X item, boosting Torterra's defense to reduce the damage from the next Ice Fang. I was very aware of the danger of a crit Ice Fang, so I used a Super Potion to get Torterra back to almost full HP, so that it was safe to keep taking Ice Fangs. Finally, on turn 4 it was time to attack, and after Gyarados' 4th Ice Fang took Torterra down to about half health, a neutral Razor Leaf did decent enough damage that another one plus Leech Seed should finally take down Wake's scary opener. I opted instead to use an X Speed to try to gain the advantage of attacking first, and Crasher Wake used a Super Potion. What kind of gutless coward would do such a thing? I tried Bite next to compare damage and potentially get a flinch with Torterra's newfound speed, but unfortunately no joy in the flinch department. A second Bite produced a flinch, Leech Seed brought Gyarados down to a sliver of HP, and I decided to Super Potion up. A heroic move, no doubt, and let Leech Seed take Gyarados down. Unfortunately, Wake was once again cowardly enough to use the Super Potion, so we were back to square one, almost. The battle may have looked like it hadn't advanced much in these 8 turns, however, I had Leech Seed set up, and boost to both Torterra's defense and speed stats, and Gyarados was on about 2/3 health, so we were in a pretty good spot. 2 bites later with an Ice Fang in between, and finally Gyarados went down, and surely the rest of this battle would be plain sailing. Right? Well, actually yes. Wake sent out Quagsire next, who dropped immediately to a Razor Leaf, followed by Floatzel, who took 2 Razor Leaves to fell, and with that, my 4th badge, the Fen badge, was in my badge case. I left the gym by the M&M route, healed up my Pokemon, learned that Wake uses his battle winnings to help people and Pokemon in need, so I'd likely just indirectly killed someone by taking his money, picked and planted some berries, then headed out in search of the Great Marsh, getting stuck in some swampy, boggy yuckiness a few times more than I'd like to admit. After battling 3 more trainers on Route 212 to the west of Pastoria, I finally realised that the Great Marsh entrance was actually right by the Pokemon Center in Pastoria. I headed upstairs and used the binoculars to find my target, then entered the Great Marsh, where I caught a Hoot Hoot, a Bibarel to save me the effort evolving one of my Bidoof, a Marvel, which I would add to my team, a second Bibarel for no good reason whatsoever, and 2 Wooper, taking my totals to 20 for the game, and 44 overall. At this point, I realised I had ended part 1 of this series with 4 badges and an egg hatch in Crystal, so I simply cycled around for a little while until my egg hatched into Happiny. This added 1 more entry to my Living Dex, leaving it at 45 overall, 21 of which were added in this episode. My plan for the next episode is to continue through Shining Pearl, at least as far as the 8th gym badge, but maybe I'll even squeeze in the Elite Four too. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it, along with all the other Pokemon content I upload here, and please leave a like and comment on the video, it really helps me out. But for now, all I have left to say is thank you very much for watching. As always, I've been Ebeza, you've been amazing, and I will see you next time.